thanks for joining. Small group, but it's nice to have a small group. So it's good to see everybody. As I mentioned before, it can be kind of hard work to do the grading, and it takes a lot of time, and it's not something you're just gonna get a quick tip on and be able to change your school and school culture around grading overnight. It takes a while. So thanks for sticking with it. And I'm hoping that you're finding these sessions valuable. Please feel free to give me any feedback, whatever we can do to try to make it more valuable to you. So I'm going to get started, and the first thing we're going to do is just kind of take a quick review of the things we talked about from the last couple of meetings, and then I want to provide time. I guess I looked over your comments and feedback, and it seemed like you really enjoyed being able to speak to other administrators, so I want to provide time for that today. So what I've talked about the last two meetings, in which I hope you've been able to make some progress on this checklist or continuum, is establishing a committee. So either a grading committee or maybe using your ILT, creating pillars for your school. And we went over an activity where we could, you could do that looking at what San Diego has created or Washington, DC, or even building on what we have in Chicago. And I shared some of what we've done at Chavez with you. Then after that, it's averaging mode. And I gave you an activity that maybe you got a chance to use during the last PD with your staff to help come to a consensus around the averaging mode that you want to use. Standardizing category names, I give you an activity for doing that. Then talking about agreeing to category weights and deciding on an approximate number of assignments per category per quarter. And so depending on where you started, you may be at different points along this continuum. And so what I wanted to give you guys a chance to do today, or to start us off with, for let's say 15, 20 minutes or so, is break you up into breakout rooms and let you discuss with one another. Which of these steps are you on at your school? What challenges have you faced so far with doing this? What's gone really well for you? What progress have you made? And what do you think your next steps are? We broke out into rooms, so it's great to see everybody. Welcome. If I didn't get a chance to welcome you before, thanks for being with us today. How many breakout rooms do we have, Amir?
Oh, I had 5.
5? Okay, thanks. Can anybody from, were they numbered?
They were. I don't know if people were able to see the numbers.
I don't think I was able to see my number. Can anybody from any of your groups share out? Were there any common themes that you heard among the group with maybe what's been working well and what challenges you faced so far?
I think our group, the common theme was taking it slow. And a couple of us have done, obviously tried to do like some common practices across teachers with averaging. And then we had a question about weights. We were talking about weighting and the challenges with weighting, because the weights themselves, and then if you can't come up with the number of assignments and the district is telling teachers you only have to put in 1 assignment per week, it's a little challenging to think about like the different categories and how many assignments are going to be in each one in such a limited time frame, if there's going to be pushback about that minimum threshold that they kind of feel is like their expectation.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. Can we have another group share out as well? Please.
So our group talked a little bit about the notion of not having zeros in grade books. And I know Ms. Thomas mentioned that they did away with zeros. And then our staff, my principal and I really want to move in that direction, but we just don't think our team is ready for that yet. We presented that to our ILT in the beginning of the year when we did our leadership retreat, and it was met with a lot of boos. So just trying to navigate not only them understanding why we should do away with zeros, but getting them in the mindset of allowing additional opportunities for retaking or reassessing to ensure that scholars truly understand the purpose behind the grades, but also to make sure that we as a staff understand purpose behind the grades and that we're not just arbitrarily failing kids just because they don't show up for a retake when it's offered. And then that's the one and only opportunity that they get or something to that nature.
Thanks, Ms. Whitehead, appreciate it. So hopefully that was helpful for you to at least hear where other people are at on these steps. Has anybody able to or use any of the activities from the previous sessions, either with the averaging mode? Did you get a chance to do that during professional development, or with standardizing the category names, or even with creating pillars? Have any of you been able to share your experience using those activities from the last two sessions?
So I actually did the averaging exercise. I really only made our math department try it all the way to the end. And then all the other departments, I let the first person who solved it. And actually, interestingly enough, it was a teacher in the English department who was the first one to beat all the other times. And that was a good activity to have, because while we've used at our high school, we've used the category average from day one. We just tell teachers this is what you have to do and go in and fix it, and we have somebody goes in and checks it. We've never spent the time to really dig in why or what happens if you don't do it. We just have always known that it doesn't match up with the rest of the school. So they had some good dialogue around that. And then because we've done a little bit of work with grading for equity, I still had them go in and do the Excel spreadsheet with the inventory. And that definitely, there was a couple departments that, although we had standardized this a couple years ago, we haven't really come back to it. And sure enough, there's one or two departments where people just started naming categories, whatever else they wanted. But the inventory was at least helpful to sort of see, okay, how many grades are in each category per teacher? And those varied widely within the department. So that was a good starting point for the next piece of then talking about why then is it important to think through the whole marking period as a holistic piece, and then think through how are we going to weigh these? Because if you're not monitoring it, you're going to get to the end and then your whole grade is going to be skewed because you don't have enough grades under this category or that category. So that's where we're going next.
That's great. What school are you at?
At Church High School.
Oh, very cool. Thanks so much for sharing. I'm gonna keep moving along now. And one of the main things I wanted to do today was show you how to create a grade audit report. And some of you guys already do this at your schools, or somebody else does it for you. But if you haven't done it, I want to show you how, so you can do it yourself. And even if you've done it before on our website, we've created a streamlined, updated way of doing it that hopefully will save you a little bit of time. I think Matthew, you've done it not too long ago. I think I saw your name. Are you using just the one download or all 4 downloads?
I think it was just the one at the time. Although
Okay.
I asked for it or some data recently, and then I never got the response from. Can't remember the name of the guy that you sent the email to.
Okay, sorry about that. If it was on our team, I'm sure we can follow up with you.
Yeah, I'll just resubmit for this next quarter.
Okay. So I'm gonna take you through it and show you how to do it, and then I'm gonna give you time to do it right now on your own. Let me walk you through what these screens look like first. So do you guys have access to the PowerPoint that I'm on? Do I need to share that with you? Let me put it into the chat. So can't remember what page I'm on, but it's towards the bottom. And you can click on this link for directions and for a demonstration. So this is what the first screen looks like in Aspen. You're going to need to open up Aspen.
You're not presenting, I don't think.
Oh, thanks so much. Amir, can you help me out? I thought I was presenting.
let's see. It probably went away when we were in. Okay, there it is. Let's see. Yeah, now we see like the Chavez 2022-23 report on the screen.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks, Jen. So I was on this page. There's a link to get to the website you need to get to, and then also directions. When you pull up the directions, it's going to look like this. So you'll go to Aspen. I'll show you this in a second. I just want to talk through it first. You go to Aspen, student, options, exports, student reporting data export. And you just get this one single download, and that's all you're going to need. And then you're going to go to our website, which is linked in the directions on the previous page. You're going to click on student reporting data export upload. And then you're going to choose that file that you just got from Aspen and upload it. So let me show you what that looks like. Going to open up this tab. You'll get to our website. You click on log in with your CPS email. And you get to a site that looks like this, and we're going to be using this tab. But before we use this tab, we're going to have to go into Aspen. And I'm in Aspen. I'm already logged on. I'm under School View, Student. Oh, I got to log back in. School. And then student. I'm going to ask you guys to do this in just a moment. Student, options, exports, and then student reporting data export. I click on that, and I'm going to click run. And this is a very large file, so it takes a moment to run. When it finishes running, I'm going to go back to the Chavez Reporting Suite website and upload this file. You want to follow along with me, you can. Go to Aspen, School View, Students, Options, Exports, Student Reporting Data Export. Looks like this file is still running right now. So I have to click refresh a few times. There we go. And it finally finished. So I'm going to click to view it. And there it is, export 171. That's not what it looks like. That's another page. But anyway. So then I go to my Chavez reports page, which is right here. It's this site. This is what it looks like. I'm going to click on the student reporting data export upload. And I'm going to choose the file. It should be the first one in my downloads. I think it was 171. There it is. Export 171. Open. And you'll see, oh, there it is, uploaded. So I can close it. And then I'm going to come over here to Gradebook Audit Report, load files. And I want it for Q1. And I'm going to click Generate Report. And give it just a moment. And you'll see there's the Gradebook Audit Report for the whole school. And we can talk about that in a second. But first, I want to give you a chance to generate that report on your own. So again, in the PowerPoint, if you click on this first link, it will take you to the Chavez Reporting Suite. The second link has some step-by-step directions for generating the one file you need from Aspen. So please take a moment Give you 5 minutes and I'll check back in with you. I want to give you a chance to generate this report yourself. If you have questions, just come off mute and ask.
Bart,
Hey,
after I upload the file to your site, where do I go next?
sure. Thanks for asking. Somebody, I'm going to X out of here. So you clicked on here and you select
Yes,
the file, then you can close it. And now
yes.
back on this page for the grade audit report, click load files.
Okay,
Does your screen look like mine?
yes,
Okay, then down at the bottom, click generate report.
okay.
Barton, I just want to give you a shout out. The upgrades to this site are amazing.
Oh.
The one upload and the option to generate individual PDFs. Oh my God.
So thank Bobby Langworthy. He's not showing himself, but he's here at the school. He's the one who is the behind the scenes coding genius we have on staff here.
So fortunate.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you just give me a thumbs up in your chat box if you were able to do it? Jen, I saw you were good. Thanks, Nancy. All right, Hedges School, got it. Clinton, I know you guys use this report. Were you able to do it? Ms. Spiller, thank you. Got it. Sures, were either of you guys able to do it?
Yeah, I just, I'm looking at them now. This is awesome.
Okay, good. All right. Let's see, Mr. Brown at Parker, how are you doing? You got it? Okay.
Excuse me, Bart, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Doing well. I have run the report before, but I wanted to see if you could review just how to find the individual reports for students. I just wanted to make sure I know where to locate those or how to generate those.
For students or teachers?
For students. Is that an option or is it only for teachers?
This is only a tool that's analyzing teachers' grade books.
Right. Okay. So when you do the individual teacher grade books, how do you, normally I just run the entire report and then I look through and I filter for, you know, in each grade band or some common error. But I want to, how do you find, just separate it so that I can just give that to individual teachers? Somebody just mentioned that and she said it was a great tool. I've never done it. So I was just trying to see if you could just go back through that.
Yes, I can show you real quick. I just want to make sure, give another moment here. Let me see, I haven't heard from Miss Bellamy or Miss DeGiulio.
Hi. I'm on this. I ran my report. How do I transfer it over to the web to the Chavez suite?
Okay.
So we upload. That's the part where I'm.
On the PowerPoint, you can click on the next to demonstration. That's the link.
Okay, I opened that. I'm in there.
Okay, and then on this page, click on the student reporting data export upload.
Okay, student reporting. Okay, got it.
And then click on,
Got it. All right.
you good?
Yes, I couldn't find this little box. And then we click on that one and then upload the file name by.
Yeah, you can click on there, then close it. And then when you go to load files, you just, it should already be in there. And you just go scroll to the bottom and hit generate report.
All right, thank you. Think I'm good.
What about, sorry, who have I not heard from?
I
Bronze?
finished too. I got it. Yeah, I
Nice.
had to move from my MacBook. My Excel wasn't acting right on the MacBook, so I had to go back to the Windows, the Dell.
Awesome. Miss Bester from Garvey, you good? Okay. Miss Bellamy?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Julio?
Yeah, this is we've always used it with the 3 different downloads. So this is awesome. And I knew there was an easier way that I saw over the summer, but this is so much easier. So I'm super grateful. The one thing that I've noticed too is that every time I try to generate those individual reports, I do get an error message as well.
Oh, okay.
The individual PDF. So one tip though, to save it is to like go to print it, right? And then download it as a PDF.
Yes.
That's how you typically like send it off or like save it for staff to see.
Sure. So you can, Bobby, jump in here if I'm not explaining this correctly. Let me pull up our report, or no, where was it? Yeah, here. So I wanted to generate individual PDF reports. I would just click the names of the teachers I wanted. Like, let's say I only want to work with this teacher. And I'm going to click, well, I don't want to click it. It takes a long time. It's just slow, but it will work.
I think that I kept it as all probably, but then it gave me an error because I didn't pick an individual teacher. I just wanted it to be on separate PDFs so that, but okay, that helps.
Bobby,
Depending on the size of school and how many teachers you have, it might have just ended up being
too slow
too
and then
much.
Timed out or something. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then is the best way to save it is as a PDF, just like go to file, print, and then just save it as a PDF?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's set up to do that as well. If you're just looking for like one specific teacher, that'll work just as well.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the question. Anybody wants to follow along there, if you want to save it as a PDF, you just go to print and then click save as PDF for your printer option. Okay, cool. So some of you guys have already seen this. We've had this report available for about 5 years, and a lot of networks now generate these reports using our site and send them out to principals. So maybe you've come to it like that, or maybe you've just done it on your own, or I don't know. We've had a lot of PLC participants, but usually the first time people open this up, they're like, oh my God, I had no idea how bad the grading practices were at my school. And you start to get really upset and have a lot of emotional reactions. That's fine. So as you're looking through that, I'm going to take a question real quick. Yes, Ms. Perry.
I'm still having, so I've only, instead of doing the entire school, which is 37, I've dropped it down to only do like 8, and it dropped them into a zip file. But when I go to click them, it still says that the PDF won't open.
So usually when you open up the zip file, you click extract.
Mm-hmm.
And
where did it go? Oh, I think did I close it? Okay, I'll try to find it.
Okay, and if you want to stay on after and share your screen with me or something, I can try to help you with it.
Barton, I have a question too. On the report that you get, it tells you if everybody doesn't have the same gradebook average. Is there a report in Aspen that you can run to see what everyone's is, or do you have to check that individually?
In Aspen, under grades is the teacher category and average mode. That's a report that would tell you, just looking at that, what everybody's average mode is. Bobby, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct.
Can you
Yeah.
restate that one more time? What in Aspen, what am I looking for?
You go to Aspen, School View, grades, and then I think it's under reports. It's either options or reports. I think it's reports.
Okay, yep, I see it.
For the single download?
Yeah, for the teacher category average mode, right?
Oh, teacher category average. Yeah, that should be under reports.
Okay,
Your-
thank you.
Your directions will show you too, if on that like main Chavez report page with the where it used to be the 3 different downloads. If you go to the link that says like how to access that report.
Right here. Here it is. Thanks.
Yeah.
Laura.
That instructions will tell you how to access each of those different reports. I didn't know any of those reports either, but
Yeah.
they'll give you all of the categories and all of the different average modes for all of your teachers on one page.
Barton,
Yes.
when I looked at the report and I scrolled down, there was some yellow with the exclamation points about that the percentages aren't equal 100. But then I went back into Aspen and it's not showing in the other report, but in Aspen it's showing that it's 100%.
That usually means that there are some categories that the teacher has in gradebook that they haven't entered any grades into yet.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So let me go back to the slideshow. So once you get that, grades are due this Thursday. So we timed this class to be when it is, just like we timed the last one, right before the professional development. And so we have some questions for you. You probably, I think a couple of you are looking very carefully through those reports right now, and maybe you've got questions or maybe concerns, etc. And so we want to give you a few minutes just to see what you notice on your report and what kind of questions you have. Couldn't be solved, or a question that was common to everyone.
In group 5, we talked about how some of our school communities are definitely in a place where we have developed a grading policy and teachers are using like rubrics, and there's a lot more written communication about what is happening at schools and changing of policies. But parents are not reading the information. And so as we are shifting our practice and grading changes and grades change as a result of that, principals and teachers are being inundated with emails about grades and why things are changing. And students who are meeting the standard, who are earning a C, parents are like, why aren't they getting an A or a B? And so just really trying to understand if hosting a town hall to talk about grading and our shift in grading practices would be beneficial, because we know that the people who need to be there probably won't. And when you send out the recording and the deck and the guidance, they're not going to read it and you're still going to be inundated. And so we just really talked about trying to support teachers and doing that heavy lift on the front end of the school year and having conversations with families instead of sending emails, so that you can just get it out of the way in the first quarter. And so then parents have a better understanding moving forward.
Yeah, that's great. That's come up before. Even this week, someone was emailing me with that concern. But I think your solution is spot on. It just takes time and letting parents know upfront as much as you can. Thanks for sharing. So it sounds like a lot of you guys have already used this report. We've had it available for about 5 years. A lot of networks are already generating it and sending it out for you. But now, if your network data strategist has changed or something, you want to generate it on your own, you can. A lot of times, the first time you get this report, You see things that you don't like. Even if you've been doing it for a couple of years, you may see things on there that you don't like. And you want to get upset, and you want to go rush and speak to a teacher immediately. If you're new to this process, my advice is not to do that. My advice right now is to sit on it. I know that it's going to require some patience, but the reason I say that is because I want you just to collect baseline data. I want you to use this report for the first quarter as the starting of this class, maybe the starting of your journey on better grading practices. And let's just collect data on where you are right now, so that after you've done work for a couple of years, you can come back, or maybe even after a quarter, depending on where you are. And so that's why in the slide deck, I have a, in the slide deck, I have a link for baseline data collection. And so now you've generated this report, maybe you want to do it again after grades are due. And it's linked to something called a gradebook tally sheet. I forgot. Hopefully everybody can open this. If you can't, I'll change the permissions right away. Oh, good, you're getting in there, great. So don't write on this one. If you don't mind, just make a copy of it. And this is a template. This is some of the things we've talked about, but if you'd like to add more for yourself, make a copy and add more. So let's say that, you know, at my school, let's say I really only care about auditing, let's say 40 teachers' grade books. Maybe I've got 50 teachers, but there's a variety of, you know, like a cluster programs or specials classes or something where you just, you know, it's a totally separate deal for those grade books. Go through your grade audit report and think about the things that you care about that you're monitoring. So category weights that don't equal to 100%. Go through there and just tally it up. All right, I had 5 of those. How many am I seeing where there's a weighted category with nothing in it? So it's throwing off all the other averages. Let's say I've got 10 of those, 10 teachers with that practice. Concerning assignment weights. So that, you know, concerning is subjective. That's up to you. I put 15% in there, but it may be different. The reason I say 15%, I had a kid who attended Jones College Prep, and their final exams counted 20% of the overall grade. I've never heard of that. That is the most I've ever heard of any school. And so at an elementary school, or maybe at a high school, like 15%, if you have one grade counting 15% of the overall quarter, seems like a lot. So that's why I put that, like, how many teachers have a grade 1 assignment counting over 15%? You know, maybe I've got 9 teachers, who knows? A concerning failure rate. Again, that's going to be up to you. What is concerning to you? Say I have 8 teachers there, heavily weighted assignments with a DR and F. Anyway, you get the idea here. Assignments with very large, example, 25% of D's and F's. Or a concerning number of assignments in a category, like there's a category counting 40% with 1 assignment in it. Now, how many teachers? Why am I asking you to do this? I want you to do this so that you can go back and look and see whether or not the activities and the things that we're talking about in this class have had an impact and are improving over the course of time. You may come to some kind of an agreement, like, you know, I've heard a lot of people say today, and in general, we're not going to have zeros. All right, fine. But if you're not going back and monitoring that, if you're not collecting baseline data on that, how do you ever know? So, you know, this is for, you know, you could put up here, what's it, 10/21, 2022. You can come back either in a year or even after a quarter. Put another one in there and do another tally. So as you're generating these reports, you're collecting data, and you can see whether or not over time these areas are improving. It's a template. If you want to add some other things, like maybe you guys have all agreed, I've heard at your school, like somebody mentioned today in one of my breakout groups, we agreed, I was Ms. Thomas, we agreed 59% was the lowest grade. All right, so then how often are you seeing that not happening? How many teachers? And then see if you can get that number to go down. Weighted, you know, some people say we're not going to weight participation, right? Are you still seeing that? Whatever it is that you guys are looking at, you can add to this template. I think hopefully I'm getting the point across of, over time, seeing improvement.
Barton,
Yeah.
do you suggest at any point sharing this tally sheet with teachers, or should it just be for us?
I think it's going to kind of depend a little bit on your school. So I would definitely, at the first go round, if you have a grading committee, you share it with your grading committee or yourself and keep it there. Or if it's like a school-wide initiative, if equitable grading practices is part of your CIWP, this is a great way to show your, I don't know if you want to show your LSC, depends on your relationship with them, but at least a wider audience that, hey, we've made real progress in one of our CIWP priority areas.
Thank you.
So that's all I want you to do. Go through and look at this. We're about to close here, but again, I keep coming back to this. I know I hear a lot of times people saying, you want to implement these practices. Like, we want to do standards-based grading. We want to have no zeros. We want to not count homework. We want to not count participation. We want to do all these things. But I think that rushing into that is going to be short-term if you don't establish these other things in the beginning. So, and I know I sound like a broken record, but it's really important. These steps, getting these things established at the outset, and it's going to take time. And you may be at different points along the road, that's fine. Just keep at it. Just keep at it. You got a PD coming up this Friday. Hopefully, some of the activities that we discussed in the previous two sessions, if you haven't done them yet, Friday is another opportunity to start making progress on these steps. And collecting some baseline data after everybody gets done with the report cards, sharing that with your committee members. And then from there, the homework for our next meeting. And thanks for sticking with us. Thanks for doing the homework and being committed to this. A lot of you have read the Feldman book before, so read it again. Maybe read it with your ILT, and just chapters 7 and 8. That's after he goes through the history, after he establishes his pillars, then he starts talking about some practices. So that's what we're getting into now. And he talks about avoiding zeros, minimum grading, 0 to 4 scale, weighting more recent performances, and group work. When we get back together, I'm going to ask that we think about, of these practices, which of these are easy to implement and will have a major impact on grading at your school. So as you're reading each of these practices, keep in the back of your mind, asking yourself, how easy is this going to be to implement? And how big of a return on my time investment will this be? How much of a difference will this make in our kids' grades or grading practices at the school? And we'll talk about that more at the next session. If you have any other ideas for mathematically accurate grading practices, which is what these 2 chapters are about, you can feel free to bring those to the next meeting as well. I'm going to stay on for a little while in case there are still questions about how to generate that report or anything else that you might be working on.